All right, guys. Saltzmans part 10. This is not about no one good is ever truly good and no one bad is ever truly bad. This is more about addressing the problem with heretic Lizzie. Let me explain what I mean. So, even though she's Lizzie Saltzman and not Forbes or Salvatore, why was it that every vampire in Vampire Diaries, and this is the biggest problem with Legacies, trying to make it a comedy and address it to the younger audience than the audience they already had? Like, in Vampire Diaries, every vampire that turned, whether it was training from Rick with Elena, was a good vampire for the most part, good stuff. Except when Elena jumped on a keg and stuff, it's like, yeah, tough shit. Like, you did anything to my girl Bex. I love Rebecca. I love her more than I love Elena. I hate Elena as a character. That's not the point. I digress. The point is that why was Lizzie so bad at being a heretic or a vampire? The first 5 seconds that she's a vampire, she goes slamming into a fucking door. Are you kidding me, writers? That's how bad she becomes? When Caroline becomes a vampire due to Catherine killing her or whatever, with Damon's blood in her system, she does very well for herself. She saves Damon and Stefan, killing those cops, whatever, and stuff. And ultimately, her mother does forgive her and she becomes a great vampire for it. And, there are times where she gets the upper hand on other vampires because she's angry and stuff. But, Lizzie has gotten the upper hand on Hope only because of a surprise attack. Not that it really matters. I don't think that the older you are is going to necessarily make you stronger when you die and complete the transition. So, like, if Lizzie was 24 when she died and Hope was 19, Hope would still be older than her. She'd be 26. I don't think it's really going to help her be any different and stuff. She's still going to be the same and everything and so forth. It doesn't matter if you died like at 60, your body would be 60, would stop aging at 60 years old. If you die young, you're going to be, and then you get to 60 or 5 centuries have passed. Okay, well now you're 560 years old or 517 years old because of the fact that you died when you were 17 years old. The problem with Lizzie for me, though, is I don't like it shows that she was doing pretty well with having to not use to siphon off someone, which is great and stuff, and she was using her magic really well. And her vamp side was getting much better with her trading through Hope. Even Hope wasn't being that helpful, was still being somewhat helpful. But at the end of the day, I just don't understand why this had to be such a comic relief thing for Lizzie. I don't like that it was so difficult for her to be a vampire. Now I understand why, because she doesn't really like to have to drink blood. But, I mean, I get it that the writers kind of made it weird for her and stuff because, let's face it, we know the actress Jenny Boyd, who plays Lizzie Saltzman, did actually want her to be a heretic. But the way that they made her just was like, she doesn't like the blood, disgusting, and all of this other stuff. And I totally get it, and she just keeps flexing her fangs, which is kind of funny. But I just think that her having a problem being a heretic is what really irks me as a fan watching the show, because I've always hated Legacies ultimately until like season 4 where it got slightly better. But ultimately, it was just kind of so confusing, and the show just never correlated to anything, and the show always made me very mad of it because it made it stupid and stuff because they tried to go to the younger audience, and that's the problem with like Lizzie. It was more of that comic relief kind of thing. It was kind of like the Harry and it was kind of like the Rupert Grint and Daniel Radcliffe and Emma Watson scenario where they gave Emma Watson some of a Rupert Grint for Ron Weasley lines and stuff, and they made Ron Weasley more of a comic relief character in the movies, where in the books he was much smarter and he actually helped his friends and stuff. It was kind of like that, where the director just kind of wanted to make something very funny here and lighthearted, which just didn't work for me as a fan. And ultimately, I hope you guys understand why I really did not like that aspect of this whole entire Saltzman thing with like Lizzie being a heretic and it being more of a comic relief thing than actually showing her be a badass as a vampire. Remember, magic can only work one way at a time when you're using it. It can either be offensive to hurt someone, or it can be defensive to defend against that person and stuff. It can only work one way at a time. It can't work both ways. I mean, I guess it could if you have both hands, but at the same time, it can't. So then what happens? Well, you're defending with magic, but then you also got super strength and other skills with your vampire side and wolf side if you're a tribrid. But the point is that the whole entire comic relief thing was just stupid. I think that Lizzie would have been better if she was more like Caroline in Vampire Diaries, where she actually showed that she was a good vampire from the very beginning. I don't know, guys. Let me know your thoughts. Do you think that this comic relief thing was stupid? This is Saltzmans Part 10. Let me know your thoughts down below. Personally, I think it was a stupid ploy and stupid setup. And personally, I think that Heretic Lizzie would have been much better if she was more like Caroline in the Vampire Diaries than what we got in the Legacy show of making it about comic relief and kind of trying to do that Ron Weasley effect in the movies and everything else. I think it was stupid, but I don't know. That's all I got for you guys. Let me know your thoughts.